Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 PS3 review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at WWE 13, and I've also got the Season Pass, I believe it's called Access or Fan Access on this. Either way, it is essentially Season Pass. I've only got the first wave of DLC so far because that's the only DLC that's been released, at least at the time of recording. But it's one of those, for what you're getting, for how many DLC characters you're going to get overall, I think £6, which is what I ended up buying it for on the PlayStation Plus discount, is just an amazing price. It also gives you the ability to unlock all of the wrestlers, so you don't have to go through the campaign if you don't want to, which was great for me because I bought this mainly for multiplayer, although the single player is good too. Anyway, at the start you are met with a whole heap of options. You can go into play straight away, so you've got one-on-one, and then you've got normal match, extreme match, you know, you've got all sorts of match types. You've got 2-on-2 match types, you've got triple threat match types, fatal 4-way match types, you've got 6-man match types, you've got handicap matches, speciality matches, King of the Rings, you've got an actual match creator, so if what you want isn't there, you can pretty much make it. So you can make like an elimination, falls count anywhere, with 2 out of 3 falls needed. You know, there's just all blooming sorts. I mean, seriously, the game is absolutely massive. It's just huge, but don't get me wrong, for some people it may not be massive. I've never played a wrestling game from the proper series for about 8 years, so I don't know if anything's been cut from what you usually get or anything's been added, because I stopped playing them once they got to the point where it was so overcomplicated that it no longer became a wrestling game, it became a sim. Thankfully, this isn't like that. I'm finding it thoroughly enjoyable to play, moving from All Stars to this. Anyway, you've also got the Attitude Era, which is a story, which I'll go into a little bit. You've got the WWE Universe, which is basically what they call the fans, so like that's... when you go into it, I must admit I've spent very little time here because it didn't really interest me, but there's like special match cards there and schedules for what's coming and rankings. It's just it's for very deep, strong fans who want to do all that sort of stuff. You're either casual wrestling game fan or you're casual wrestling fans, not really going to be into them, or even someone who just loves wrestling but doesn't love it that much, you know. I mean, you might love a bus but you mightn't want to spot buses, or you might love it like riding on a train but you might want to spot trains. And I'm not calling people who are into the universe train spotters in a derogatory sense or anything, I'm just saying it's not for everyone. Creations, there is absolutely tons of stuff to do. You can create obviously logos, arenas, you can create stories, your special moves, your superstars, things like that. It's so advanced I will not be able to show it off on this because, quite frankly, again, it's something that's overwhelming to a lot of people, and you can spend hundreds of hours in it just getting one thing right, or if you're a master you can probably create hundreds of things in just 1 hour. Online is online. My WWE is, you can edit your rosters, your title management, statistics, options. You can view the in-game manual because the one that comes with it is like 2 pages long, so you can do your tutorial, your abilities and that. You can go onto the match creator again. Gameplay, you can go onto control types and choose A, B, and that's pretty much it. Target settings, you can make the manual or auto. Match options, I mean, I apologise for spending so damn long in a menu right now, but there's just so much on the menu and so many things to mention to people who may be interested in that sort of stuff. But enough of that for now. I'm just simply going to go into a regular one-on-one match. As you can see, the roster is huge. I have used the cheat code that comes with the DLC to unlock everyone. The only things that are greyed out currently are Paul Bearer and whatever Alberto Del Rio's manager is. I can't remember his name right now, but they're basically not playable as wrestlers because they are just managers. You've then got your custom superstars there, which I haven't created anyone yet. Your downloadable content, which this is the first wave of characters. You've got your divas, which there's very few divas on the game. There's only 11, and I don't know how many's planned for DLC, if any at all. And then obviously you've got the ability to choose random if you want to, which, what the hell, might as well do it. I got Mark Henry, right. Once you choose a wrestler, you can choose how many finishes you start with. You can either go for none, so you have to earn them, 1, 2, 3, or infinite. Infinite is beyond insane trying to play a game with infinite because it's all anyone wants to do. I am, however, going to put infinite on those so I can actually show you some. I'll choose a manager, and I might as well choose him now that I know his name, Ricardo Rodriguez. And I'll just choose, I'll choose the great one for me opponent. I'll give him Paul Bearer just to show the other manager off. Although, obviously, as you can see, you can choose anyone for a manager if you want to. Anyway, once you choose a wrestler, you can then again go into match creator. You can choose match experience to be epic, quick or normal. You can select your arena, of which there's a ton of them to choose from. But again, that's just more menu stuff, so let's get into actually playing the game, because it's been about 5 minutes with no real gameplay right now. So apologies to those who want gameplay, but not apologies to those who did want to know those things about the menu, because there are more of us out there than you think. I am one of those people, which is why I show them in the vids. It's one of the reasons why I started doing it, because I didn't think anyone ever told you enough info about the behind the scenes stuff that as gamers you might want to do and might want to play about with. So, gameplay wise, you've got a button for grapples, you've got a button for a button for finishers, you've got a button Irish whip, you've got a button to strike. The breaking point that just came up there is basically for submission moves, and you've got a button bash, so the 4 face buttons. You can alternate, you can do just one of the 4, you can do all 4 if you want to mash the pad, and the more you, the faster you do it, the better you kick out of the finisher, because you can get injured on the game. It's part of the grappling system as well. If you actually grab someone, you can then hold R1 down and it'll come up, push another button to do. So for example, I'll try and, oh no, because Rock's groggy, it's keep forcing you to do this move. But I will try to show it off. It is pretty self-explanatory though. Once you grab someone and lock them into a thing, there we go. You can hold R1 and then you can hit triangle to aim for the head, square, circle or X to aim for their arms and legs. Depending on the damage of an area, depends on how effective a move will be. And if you get it, for example, get the legs really injured and then go for a submission move that focuses on the legs, it'll be easier for you to make them submit. At least that's the theory. I'm not particularly that great at submissions on this game. I tend to play as the characters who are just all-out power or brawlers or things like that. I don't really play as the submission type, so I play more as your Rocks and your Undertakers and less of your Bret Harts. It's just one of those things though that it's nice to have it there, and someone who's actually really good at the game, I'd imagine, will get to the point that they'll be almost unbeatable in certain ways. The reversal system, you've probably seen me do a few reversals now already. It's quite nice and simple. You just hit R2 at the right time. It tells you if you've done it too fast, too late, or just right. And I know that kind of sounds like a Goldilocks line right about now, but it is a nice system to have, because it teaches you that when you've got someone, for example, who does the same move to you over and over and over again, it's nice to know, well, I did it too fast that time, I did it too late that time, so I'll hit it here, bam, you've got it reversed. It's almost like a training aid in the middle of a match. As well as finishes, you've got signature moves, which I've currently got one of now, but I'll be honest, this is how you do it, just quite simple with him. And you've got a few seconds to pull off the signature move before it automatically converts into a finisher. Once you do the signature move, you do still get a finisher, so if you can do a signature move, you're always best off doing it. However, if you don't think you've got a chance to do it, you can hit the R3 button and it'll convert into a straight finisher. You've then got your L3 button, which basically focuses you on different characters. So for example, I can hit the referee if I want to right about now, which I'm thinking I might well do, just for the hell of it. Although he's stopped us from grabbing him, and then the Rocks came in at us. As a system, I honestly don't think changing characters works that well. There's some huge flaws with the fact that you'll be aimed on one person, you'll hit the square button, and all of a sudden you'll hit another. In Royal Rumbles this is especially annoying, because quite often me, my brother and my mates were playing the game as 4 humans, and you can have 6 people in the ring, so we were teaming up on the computers to leave us in alone, and quite often we'd try and hit a computer and we'd hit each other without having hit the L3 button. So it is a little annoying that that happens. There's also some hit detection issues on the game, where every now and then your moves will just, like your arms, your feet, things like that will just go straight through the character instead of performing a move. Pinning on the game is straightforward, because you just simply hit the circle button and you can't do a damned thing about it. You can't enforce the pin, you can't make it harder for other people, they've just got to kick out. Being pinned, a little bar comes up and you hold the X button until the bar gets to a certain area. So for example, because I can't show it at the moment, my finger's the bar, see there would be where I've got to hold the X button till it'd fill up, and then I'd release and let go, and bam, I get out the pin. However, it's not as easy as it sounds, because starting to hold the X button isn't immediate, so it's not an immediate effect, and I think it's been done like that. I think it's been made less sensitive to make it harder, and then the bar speeds up, so all of a sudden it goes from you not getting a reaction to you get too much of a reaction, and getting to the point where you can kick out of any pin any time. Quite frankly, I think you'd have to play hundreds of hours of constantly being pinned to try and train yourself, especially because the bar moves, so sometimes you've got to get right at the start of the bar, sometimes you've got to get right at the end of the bar. I've said a whole lot about the gameplay now. I can't really think of much else left to say except to go on to the match types and how they work, so I'm actually going to go on to well, I think I'll go for a Hell in a Cell match. I'll cut into the game and then I'll continue about the modes. So, mode types are pretty straightforward depending on what you're playing. Hell in a Cell, for example, you can smash open the cell, you can actually throw people through them, and then you can climb up the cell by pushing the L1 button, and then you can even perform moves like, for example, the pedigree, break the top of the cell open, the characters will fall down, and then you can do a pin. I think it's great that that's in it, and again, these may have been in other things before, but I've not exactly played them, so I'm going to mention them because I think they're fantastic. Getting to climb ladders, climb the cage, get weapons, this, that and the other, it's all the L1 button. It's pretty much the main focus of the game. You'll have to push it to get out of the ring, you'll have to, you know, there's just loads of things that you'll have to do with the L1 button, quite frankly. One of the cool things with getting the weapons out is once you hold L1, you can then actually make a choice of what weapon to get out in certain situations, not in every situation. When you get steel chairs, you probably just saw I tried to set it up there, but Ortunga kind of screwed me over. You can actually wrap the chairs round an opponent's leg and then jump off the turnbuckle onto them, so that's cool that it's there. It's one of the things that you see on TV, so it's nice that you can replicate it. There's just loads of different modes, though, as I say. Table matches are pretty fun. It's not exactly complicated to get people onto the table. You grab them, you can hold the L2 and the R2 button to drag them across to the table, then throw them up onto it by hitting grab. You've got ladder matches, which are quite simple. You can leap off the ladders, you can really quickly by hitting circle to drop down, or you can hit L1 once you're at the top of the ladder to climb up to the top to leap off the ladder to do a move. Getting the briefcase or the title belt or anything is quite simple, because you just hold up on the right analog and then it'll tell you to hold down on the right analog, and that's you unlocking it and then pulling it down. Inferno matches, I don't like them at all. You've got to throw them into the ropes and then they roll out the ring, because obviously they would never be allowed to make a game, I'd imagine, where you genuinely set someone on fire. So instead, you just throw them out the ring essentially from the under the bottom rope. However, the whole gameplay mechanic, I just think it doesn't work very well. I mean, when I played a match with my brother who'd never even played an Inferno match before, it must have taken 40 minutes to finally kick him out of the ring to win the match, because the minigame you have to play is so easy to win, quite frankly, if you're the guy fighting for survival. When you do Royal Rumbles, however, the mini-game's totally different and it works better. A button comes up and both you and your opponent have to be the first to push that button. So if it comes up X, square, triangle in that order, whoever hits X first, whoever hits square first, whoever hits triangle first deals damage. So if you're the one throwing it out, a bar comes up. The more times you get those right, the easier it is and quicker it is to throw them out. The more times the other person gets it right, the quicker and easier they actually reverse the throwing out and hit you, and basically then gets them back into the match. Overall, I've probably spoke forever and a day on this because there's so much to mention about it, but the only thing that really counts, I suppose, is that considering I'd not played these games for years because of how overly complicated they got, as I say, that tried to make them almost into a simulant game, so it was almost as if you were playing a real wrestling game rather than playing a wrestling game. The games themselves were more realistic than the actual wrestling, and you know that's going to be a bad situation to start with on a game, really, when the game is more realistic than the actual real thing. But overall, this does an amazing job of basically pleasing old-timers who want the advanced customization options and newcomers who just want to play a wrestling game with their friends. It works really well, and the fact that you can have 6 players on the PlayStation version is awesome. And I imagine the Xbox version is probably only 4-player because it only supports 4 pads. But seeing as I tend to play it in 4-player, it's still an awesome game in 4-player. It's just a little more awesome in 6-player. The only thing I pretty much haven't mentioned is the story mode, the attitude mode, which I'm just going to cut into now. And that'll pretty much be the end of the review because I can't really think of anything else to actually say about the gameplay or anything. So this is the first thing I needed to show about the story mode. It's actually part of the loading screen. The whole point is it's set during the Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars, and you go through the advancement and the evolution of the wrestling. So this is the first story, which is the evolution of DX, and it blends together footage and real life actual commentators. So obviously it's always had the real life commentators with the fact that GR and the King, but it actually takes their speech, what was actually said on those nights, and blends it all together into one thing, which works to a point. But it's the fact that you can tell these are from broadcasts from way before HD, and you can tell they were before digitally cleaned up could happen, so you do get some odd fan noises during the speeches and that, and the crowd at times is live and sounds really weird, and it's just one of those things. The video footage works really well because it is video footage, and at the end of the day it's just like watching old matches, only with someone narrating the game and narrating what's happening and telling you the backstory if you didn't live it, which I did unfortunately miss most of the Attitude Era, which is a shame as it was my favourite for what I saw of it. And that works well. It's just the commentators themselves kind of don't work well. Gameplay wise, the story mode's excellent because you go through the chapters, as I say, just like the evolution of the WWE, and you've got match objectives, which are what those are in the top right corner, which you can switch off if you find them annoying. Personally, I do. You need to put them on every now and then though, obviously, in order to actually see what the hell you have to do. And for this match, the main objective is complete all of the bonus objectives. Usually you just get a main objective and a bonus objective, and the main could be win by pinfall. Then the bonus objectives could be hit someone with a steel chair, perform a submission on someone, you know, things like that. This though, the main objective is the bonus objectives. So you've got to get Mankind to moderate damage, and you've got to get the Undertaker to light damage. And the tracker's at the bottom of the box there telling me how I'm doing, which at the moment is badly because I'm concentrating on talking rather than playing. And then you've got a hidden objective as well, which becomes clear throughout the game basically. This one, it's one of the earliest matches, so it's not going to be a spoiler. The hidden objective is you've got to get disqualified, but you can't just start the match by getting disqualified. You have to get disqualified after you've done the moderate damage and the light damage to Undertaker and Mankind. Or Mankind and Undertaker even. And the gameplay works well with this. Sometimes it gets in the way though, the objectives, if I'm honest. Sometimes you get to the point where you think, well, can I just play the game properly? And that's why I really liked when the DLC came out, it gave you the option to just unlock all of the wrestlers, because then it means you can just play the story mode the way you want to. You can just go through, relive the Attitude Era. You don't really have to worry about getting all the bonus objectives, because the only thing they now unlock are bonus matches for the story mode. And while there's going to be some people out there who definitely want to play them, there's also going to be some people who just want to play the bulk of the game and then play as all of the wrestlers in the multiplayer mode. So I think that little unlockable code that comes with the DLC is just a genius idea, especially seeing as most people charge fortunes for it. I mean, I know EA have recently released a pack for Battlefield 3 that for £40 unlocks everything. So for the same price of the actual game at launch, it unlocks everything. Whereas this, £12 if you didn't get it with Plus, £6 if you did get it with Plus, and it also gives you a ton of wrestlers throughout the next few months. So you can't really complain at the price of the thing. Overall, I've spent less than £40 on the game, and it's the type of thing that I will play again and again and again with my friends, because we just love playing these sorts of games. We have done it ever since No Mercy. There's pretty much nothing else left I can actually say though. I mean, graphically the game doesn't look great, but you don't need it to look great. And there is no real music to mention of, so I can't just let you have a little listen to the music like I do on a lot of my reviews, because it's just menu music and that. The only other thing I suppose I can mention is the roster. While it is huge and while there are some amazing wrestlers there, it's a little disappointing that some of the wrestlers that you would like to be on the game aren't, and that'll be because of licensing issues, because they moved to TNA. I mean, for example, during the Attitude Era, I think it's not so much a joke, but it's a huge disappointment that Matt and Jeff Hardy and the Dudley Boys aren't actually on this game, and that will be because they moved to TNA, as I say, but it's just a shame because there was such an integral part of the Attitude Era. I mean, if it wasn't for them two tag teams and Edge and Christian, you wouldn't have TLC matches. So it is a shame that some wrestlers aren't on it, and it's almost as if like maybe this shouldn't have been the Attitude game. Maybe they should have tried really hard to get them for WWE 14 and they should have made that the Attitude game. But that is a minor gripe, and that is a real life legal issue for the people who run the wrestling, so it's not exactly something to complain about in the stakes of I can't believe THQ did that, because it's not their fault, and it doesn't take away from the fact that this is an amazing wrestling game.